need a new healthcare system. So the question comes, if HR 676 is so good, why is it that we don't have it? We don't have it because many people are getting rich off of our illnesses. Healthcare is a big business, and it is a money-making cow. They milk it, milk it, milk it. They have to make a profit. The only way they can make a profit is either by increasing your premiums or diminishing the amount of care you get for the same amount of money. And they cannot lose. They're in a win-win situation, and we are the ones who lose. Those of you who saw Sicko, remember that the insurance company paid people to deny you health care. The more people they denied health care, the bigger bonus they got. So the question is, why don't we have HR 676 now? Well, we don't have it because we don't hold our politicians to the task that they're supposed to do. They're supposed to represent us, but because politicians like two things, they like money and they like votes. We don't have any money. The insurance companies have the money, so we have to capitalize on what we have, and we do have the votes. So how can we achieve this goal? If you look at the number of people who are for HR 676, there are many organizations, probably 1,000 organizations, that have signed on to HR 676. And if you calculate the members in those organizations, it has been estimated that probably 22 million people who are in organizations that have endorsed HR 676. Each of those 22 million has a significant other. So that means 44 million people out there who favor HR 676. You divide that by the 435 congressional districts, and you have 100,000 HR 676 people in each congressional district. So what is our job? Our job is to identify those 100,000 people in your congressional district. Now that sounds like a hard job, but a trip of a mile starts with the first step. So what is the approach that we are doing? When I first got involved in this, I was attracted to the Physicians for a National Health Program. They have probably 50,000 members. Then there's another organization that came about, Healthcare Now. Healthcare Now is a coalition of several organizations. Some of them are political, some of them are religious, some are labor, some are educational. But these two organizations, they kind of were afraid to get in the political fray. So I heard about Progressive Democrats for America, and that tells me two things, that they're Democrats, they're political, and they don't mind solving political problems with political techniques. So the idea that we are working on now, we're trying to organize throughout the United States all of the organizations that are supporting HR 676 to identify their members by congressional districts. We have been successful in some of the organizations, and unfortunately, because most organizations feel that politics is beneath them, they are not aware of the power you have if you can identify your members by congressional districts. Because you have a group, they have similar desires, they have the same congressman that they have to elect, and if they know that there are other people within the congressional districts that feel the way they do, they get involved. So our idea now is to try to get you involved in your congressional district. I would imagine most of you are in the 6th, probably some are in the 7th, some are in the 5th also. But there are only 11 congressional districts in Virginia. So there shouldn't be a big task for us to get our 11 congresspersons to endorse H.R. 676. Of that 11, 6 are Democrats. We just newly elected 3 Democrats. The other 5 are Republicans. So you say, well, why just worry about the congresspersons? What about the senators? Well, the senators are in a better position. If you look at the whole picture of things, your congressperson is the weakest link in your legislative chain. Your congressperson comes from a compact district. There are about 700,000 people in each congressional district. Of that number, probably 75% are adults, 25% are not adults. So you can see if you can mobilize, you don't need 100,000. If you have 50,000 or 25,000, you have a big stick. And you use that stick to crack your congressperson's head. We have been brainwashed that once a person achieves an elected office, they begin to lose contact with the people. Your congressman goes to Washington, he has a staff, he's protected, he's in a fortress, and he only listens to the lobbyists who are whining and dining him. So naturally they are more loyal to the lobbyists than they are to us. But we have to make the congressman come back to realism. If we have 10,000 voters, we can demand that he supports H.R. 676. We do not have to beg him to do what we want to do. He's there as our representative, and we have to constantly remind him how to do that. What are we asking you to do? We are asking you to become a participant to help us organize your congressional district. All of you belong to various organizations. If your organizations are not, cannot identify its members by congressional districts, we would ask that you do that. Whenever we go to a meeting, we carry cards with us to ask people to write down the name, address, telephone number, email address, and their congressional district. We have to make congressional district a part of our identification so that we can contact you, so that you can contact your congressperson. We are calling them once a month, and these calls really do help. As you get more and more people within your congressional district, then you invite your congressperson to a meeting in the congressional district. Don't go to Washington, because you don't want to go into his battleground, because he has all of his forces in Washington. He's most vulnerable here in your congressional district, because when you go to Washington, they have a little routine. 4 or 5 of you go up there, and you go into the office, and the secretary greets you and gives you a copy of the Constitution and how the laws are made, and they let you sit for a while, and then after 10 minutes of cooling your heels, you're invited into the congressman's office. He comes around, shakes all of your hands, and asks how's your wife and your children and so forth. And you begin to tell him what you want to lobby him on. And about 5 minutes in that, his assistant comes in, Congressman, you have to go to a subcommittee meeting. You're late. So he said, okay, I'm going to turn you over to my assistant, and he'll take care of you, and I'm sorry, I have to go, and he's gone. So that's it. But if you bring him here and put him up here, he can't leave, because you're not going to let him get out until he resolves the problem. You don't beg him. You say, we don't want you to represent the lobbyists. You're there to represent us, and we want you to endorse H.R. 676. I'm sure you're going to have some questions, but we'll be glad to answer them. Thank you very much.